Let's see. Whether it's diving on the floor, tipping balls out for rebounds, or sprinting the length of the court for a loose ball, every little thing matters. How do you describe the fire burning in this team right now? I mean, they don't just want to win, they need to win. They want another game in Vegas, another shot at history, another chance to prove everyone wrong. That's the urgency that's driving the Indiana Fever, a team written off by the experts, the odds makers, and almost everyone outside the loyal fan base. The Indiana Fever, playing without 6 key players, including the towering Caitlin Clark, just handed the Las Vegas Aces one of the harshest postseason reality checks they've ever faced. And Lexie Hull? She didn't just show up. She stamped her authority on the floor, on the stat sheet, and in the post-game press conference, reminding the so-called MVP, A'ja Wilson, that Indiana refuses to bow to the league favorites. Aliyah Boston locked Wilson in chains defensively. Kelsey Mitchell rained points from all angles. Odyssey Sims found redemption, slashing through defenses after a nightmare performance the previous game. And Becky Hammon? She orchestrated the strategy quietly, holding the team together when the chaos threatened to spill over. This wasn't supposed to happen. Nobody outside Indiana's faithful believed this battered roster could match the 2-time champs toe-to-toe. Yet here they were, dragging Vegas into a winner-takes-all Game 5 with the WNBA Finals on the line. "You've got the momentum now," a coach said in the huddle. "Keep them off the free throw line, knock down shots, stick to the scout. 10 more minutes. Give everything." The players nodded, understanding the weight on their shoulders. They weren't just playing a game. They were fighting for survival, for pride, for a chance to rewrite the franchise's history. Think about it. A 6th seed dragging barely half a healthy roster into a matchup against a powerhouse loaded with stars, trophies, and swagger. The Aces strutted into Gainbridge Fieldhouse, expecting to walk through. Instead, they walked straight into a storm. By the final buzzer, Indiana had flipped the narrative on its head. They weren't just playing, they were defying expectations. Twice before in the playoffs, they'd been pushed to the brink, and twice they'd answered with victories. Game 4 was no different. The Fever played with desperation, but it wasn't reckless. It was disciplined, calculated, and fueled by a team that refused to quit. A veteran left mid-season, thinning the locker room's experience. Injuries piled up. Officiating had been questionable, and yet the Fever refused to accept the script written for them. Every steal, every contested shot, every dive for the ball became a statement. Indiana is here to fight. Indiana is here to win. Aliyah Boston wasn't just playing defense. She was owning it. The reigning MVP, A'ja Wilson, who had seemed untouchable all series, found herself trapped. Every drive, every post-up met resistance. Boston tallied 24 points, grabbed 14 rebounds, and dished 5 assists. Every stat was a testament to dominance, not just on paper, but in the physical, brutal reality of the game. Kelsey Mitchell, meanwhile, lit up the scoreboard. She poured in 25 points with an elegance that masked the pressure. Every jump shot, every free throw, every fast break was punctuated by the roar of a fieldhouse full of fans witnessing her redemption arc. Mitchell had carried the franchise through its darkest days, and now, in the moment that mattered most, she was crowned by the crowd's adulation. Odyssey Sims added a spark. After a nightmare Game 3, she returned with vengeance, slicing through defenses for 18 points, forcing rotations that freed up Mitchell and Boston to dominate. It was the textbook definition of bounce back, a redemption story unfolding in real time. And then there was Lexie Hull, playing through a sore back and injuries that should have kept her sidelined. She became the heartbeat of the team's defensive identity. Hull hounded Jackie Young relentlessly, picked off passes, crashed the boards, and still found time to contribute offensively. What mattered most wasn't in the stat sheet. It was in her refusal to disappear, her grit setting the tone that the Fever would not be bullied. Quietly, critically, Lexie changed the game, analysts said. She transformed a lineup short on bodies into one loaded with energy, discipline, and fire. Vegas wasn't ready for the storm. By halftime, the swagger that had carried them through 3 previous games was gone. Frustration painted every face on the bench. Technical fouls, burned timeouts, and chaotic reactions revealed the truth. Indiana wasn't under pressure anymore. Vegas was, and it wasn't luck. It wasn't fluke bounces or soft whistles. It was hard work, discipline, and unshakable belief. Indiana had learned the blueprint: attack the rim, force contact, control the paint, and the Aces had no answer. By the third quarter, the Fever weren't just hanging in, they were asserting themselves. Every possession mattered. Every rebound, steal, and fast break was a message to the Aces. You're not in control anymore. Indiana had mastered the blueprint: disciplined defense, attacking the paint, balanced scoring. And with every success, their confidence surged. Becky Hammon, calm and calculated, became the team's anchor. She slowed the chaos, read the court like a chess grandmaster, and ensured Indiana didn't just react, they dictated the flow. When Vegas tried to exploit weaknesses, Hammon's veteran composure absorbed the pressure, giving the Fever time to reset and attack again. Execution was everything, one analyst noted. The Fever protected possessions, chased down every rebound, stayed connected on defense. Every mistake by Vegas became momentum for Indiana. The Aces, accustomed to dominance, struggled under the Fever's intensity. Technical fouls, burned timeouts, and visible frustration shattered their rhythm. Even A'ja Wilson, despite scoring 31 points, couldn't carry the team alone. Every move she made was met with resistance. Lexie Hull shadowed her like a relentless predator. Aliyah Boston boxed her out with unyielding force, and every drive to the rim collided with defenders who refused to yield. Vegas' confidence, once untouchable, began to crack under Indiana's disciplined, unrelenting pressure. When Wilson complained about special whistles after the game, it was painfully clear she hadn't grasped what was happening on the floor. The Fever hadn't been handed points or favored by luck. They had earned every single basket, every rebound, and every defensive stop through sheer effort, strategy, and teamwork. Every contested shot, every fast break, every hustle play was a statement. Indiana was a team that refused to be overlooked. Odyssey Sims had been the scapegoat after Game 3, her 0 for 7 shooting haunting fans and analysts alike. But Game 4 was her redemption arc. Aggressive, confident, and razor-sharp, she slashed through defenders with precision, racking up 18 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Her lone three-pointer landed like a dagger, perfectly timed to shift momentum and silence critics. She didn't just bounce back. She reminded the league why she mattered, why she could change the game in a single play. Kelsey Mitchell, already a franchise icon, carried the team's leadership on her shoulders. Every jumper, every free throw, every clutch drive screamed authority and poise. She wasn't just scoring, she was validating a philosophy that even with half their roster sidelined, the Fever were not just surviving, they were asserting themselves as legitimate contenders. Lexie Hull's defensive brilliance, though less glamorous than a long-range shot, was equally critical. 4 steals, 7 rebounds, and relentless pressure on Jackie Young turned the tide. She dove for loose balls, disrupted passing lanes, and turned chaos into opportunity for Indiana. Every possession she touched sent a message. Indiana would not be intimidated, bullied, or written off. It's about effort, toughness, and refusing to quit, Hull said after the game, her voice firm and unwavering. We're not just playing basketball, we're proving a point. This is who we are. The Fever's triumph wasn't merely a victory on the scoreboard, it was a lesson in resilience, teamwork, and the power of belief under pressure. The fourth quarter arrived with the score tight and hearts racing. Gainbridge Fieldhouse erupted, a sea of roaring fans sensing history in the making. Every pass, every defensive rotation, every contested shot felt monumental. The energy was electric, almost tangible, as if the building itself was holding its breath. Indiana's players moved with urgency, aware that a single mistake could end the dream, but also aware that this was their moment to define themselves. Boston anchored the paint like a wall of steel, sealing defenders, boxing out, and forcing Wilson into shot after contested shot. Each miss by the Aces echoed across the arena like a drumbeat of vindication. Mitchell thrived under pressure, stepping into clutch jumpers and draining free throws with icy precision. Her eyes locked on the rim, her mind unshakable. Sims continued her aggressive drives, slicing through the defense, collapsing defenders, and opening lanes for her teammates, her movements a blur of determination. Hall's defensive pressure disrupted everything Vegas tried to run. Every steal, every deflection turned into a fast break point, a dagger in the Aces' confidence. Then came the defining moment. Becky Hammon burned a timeout she didn't have, drawing a technical foul, but it didn't matter. The act symbolized the power shift. Indiana had seized control. The Aces' composure cracked, frustration mounted, and suddenly the home team's swagger was gone. Miscommunications and errors piled up as Indiana's discipline forced them into contested plays and ill-timed shots. In the final minutes, Mitchell calmly stepped to the line repeatedly, sinking every free throw while Boston dominated inside, securing rebounds, contesting every shot, and punishing Vegas for even attempting the paint. Hall's relentless defense created turnovers that turned into quick points. Sims drove fearlessly, leaving defenders grasping at air as she sliced through the defense with surgical precision. Every possession felt monumental. Every point screamed determination. The Fever were no longer just surviving. They were controlling the narrative, rewriting the story of what an underdog could achieve on the biggest stage. The crowd sensed it. The players felt it. And the Aces knew it. Indiana wasn't just fighting to stay alive, they were claiming their right to history. The post-game press conference revealed the stark contrast between teams. Wilson, the supposed MVP, threw a tantrum about officiating, ignoring the fact that Indiana had been the team battling foul trouble all series. Analysts and fans alike noted the hypocrisy. The Aces weren't victims. They were simply outplayed by a team that refused to be intimidated. Lexie Hull's verbal dismantling of Wilson became a viral moment. No theatrics, no drama, just cold, hard truth. Indiana had played smarter, harder, and tougher. Every special whistle was earned through effort and strategy, not luck. Interviews with players emphasized teamwork, resilience, and belief. Boston praised consistency and defensive mastery. Mitchell celebrated scoring under pressure. Sims highlighted redemption and aggression. Hammon's veteran calm kept everyone grounded. Lexie Hull embodied the grit that defined the game. The mantra, "we over me," wasn't just words. It was a lived philosophy. This team had overcome injuries, skepticism, and adversity to create something special. Fans erupted online and in the arena. Social media buzzed with admiration for the Fever's grit, strategy, and spirit. Hashtags surged across platforms. "Che Fever Strong," "C'était Underdog Warriors," "Chiquitite We Over Me." Every highlight clip of Boston contesting Wilson's shots, Mitchell nailing clutch free throws, or Hall diving for loose balls became a trending moment. The franchise, once overlooked, was now at the brink of a historic finals appearance. 10 years of frustration, rebuilding, and doubt were distilled into 40 minutes of inspired basketball. Sports commentators couldn't stop replaying the pivotal moments. Analysts dissected the defensive rotations, the calculated aggression, the precision passing, and the mental toughness. Former players weighed in, calling Indiana's performance a masterclass in perseverance. Even casual fans who had tuned in for the spectacle were swept up in the emotional gravity. The Fever's message was clear: talent alone doesn't win games. Heart, strategy, and collective effort do. In the locker room, the energy was electric. Players hugged, laughed, and cried, knowing they had done more than win. They had sent a statement. A team that was written off, doubted, and underestimated had reclaimed its narrative. Every injury, every hardship, every challenge faced this season had forged a resilience that couldn't be broken. This wasn't just a victory. It was a declaration. The Fever were no longer underdogs. They were contenders, and the finals were within reach. Arena in Las Vegas. One game away from the finals, one mistake could end Indiana's dream. The pressure was palpable. Wilson would push relentlessly, trying to reclaim her dominance. But Boston and Mitchell, backed by Hall, Sims, and Hammond, had already proven they could withstand anything. The Fever's identity was clear: resilience under pressure, strategic execution, teamwork over individual glory. Every player understood their role, every move mattered, and every point was earned. Fans packed the arena, the air thick with anticipation. Every cheer, every chant, every drumbeat echoed like a heartbeat of the city itself, reminding the visiting team that the stakes were monumental. The crowd was loud, hostile, and electric, a true test for Indiana's nerves. But the Fever had thrived in adversity all season long. They had learned to channel pressure into focus, fatigue into energy, and doubt into determination. On the court, every glance, every call, every screen mattered. Boston's defensive intensity had to remain flawless. Mitchell needed to navigate traps and double teams with precision. Hall's grit had to disrupt every offensive rhythm the aces could muster. Sims's drives would have to slice through defenders with surgical accuracy, and Hammon's calm oversight could be the difference between victory and elimination. This wasn't just basketball. It was a battle of wills, a test of heart, and the defining moment for a team that had already defied expectations. Every player knew this night could etch their names into history or end the dream they had fought so hard to reach. Stephanie White summed it up best. The desperation and urgency we play with in these positions has been exactly what we need. This wasn't just a game, it was a declaration. Indiana wasn't the same team anymore. They thrived on doubt, fed on pressure, and had rewritten the balance of power in the WNBA. Whether or not they reached the finals, the Fever's fight has already sent a message. Never count out a team that refuses to quit. From injuries to skepticism, from near elimination to a roaring comeback, this is a story of grit, belief, and the relentless pursuit of glory. If you're fired up for the Fever, comment "fired up." Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications to never miss the drama, the emotion, and the history in the making. The Fever aren't just surviving, they're rewriting the rules. And the world is watching.